And we are recording. Good evening. Welcome everybody to the Healthy Brotherhood Experience. Black Men Runs the Healthy Brotherhood Experience. I am your host, JT Hale, in the ATL. Co-host, my brother Lusar Boyd up there out of the 313 Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit.
And we have a special guest tonight, all the way from Phoenix, Arizona, where it's nice and pretty, brother Jay Tinsley.
Hello. I had to give up the nickname JT. I mean,
hey, hey,
it's
brother,
yours, you own it.
We can share it. It's all good. Although when October rolls around, it's J-tober, not October. I'm just saying. It's my birthday month, so I share that too. Me and Ed both share birthday, but welcome,
Word.
Jay.
Thanks for having me.
Hey man, we're glad to have you. We're switching it up a little bit. We've touched on some different topics, from mental health to we've talked with the Denver chapter before. We've talked with brother Aaron Perry out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about some of his initiatives, and we decided, hey, let's turn the corner and focus on something else. Trail running.
All right. I feel honored.
Yeah. So, brother Jay, tell us about your running background. What got you started running? How long have you been running?
So at this point, my wife refers to it as my shtick because I pretty much tell the story the same way all the time. But I mean, I don't know if all of us like this, but people tend to think that we were runners in high school. Yeah, I ran track in high school, and that wasn't my story at all. I mean, I played baseball, but I wasn't a super athletic kid. Wasn't in shape at all, anything like that. And it wasn't until shortly after I graduated college, me and my college girlfriend broke up, and I decided that I needed to get in better shape if I wanted to find some new girlfriends. So then I started putting, an increased focus on my physical wellness at that point. And honestly, at first I couldn't run. Like, my body, I was too heavy at that point. My body wasn't prepared for it. So I got on the elliptical for a while, did a couple miles there, half hour, whatever. And I honestly don't remember exactly when I started, like the first year I started running, but I do remember I was living in Boston probably second time around. So we're thinking 2007, 2008. And I didn't live far from the Charles River, which, if any of you know, is like beautiful running loop. Like, it's just perfect. I won't do it in the wintertime, but most other times of the year, it's just really nice. The skyline you get to see from the Sturrow Drive side, you get to see, Harvard, MIT, and all that. And you get onto the Memorial Drive side, you get to see the Boston skyline. Like, it's just gorgeous. And I just ran. I had some friends that run. I just run. Never all that thoughtful about it. And when I moved out here about 11 years ago, again, still just running, trying to drop weight, trying to be generally healthy, but just running, aimlessly. And honestly, it wasn't until I joined BMR pretty much right after the Phoenix chapter started that I began running with a purpose. You get all these brothers out here talking about races, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. I'm, training for Boston, I'm training for New York, Chicago, and it's just like, all right, well, what should I be doing? I mean, I'm not doing enough here. And finally, I forget whether it was Ezra or Raph, like, told me, it's like, yeah, man, you can run a marathon, sign up for Mesa. It's a nice, fast downhill, local, like, why not? Great time of year. And they got me to sign up for it, and from there on, like, I mean, I had done some races, but that was like well, you got to train for this. You got to be serious about this. And since then, while I don't necessarily train for races, I am running with a purpose. Like, I have an end of the year goal. I want to do a certain amount of miles on the trails. Like, I want to do a certain amount of miles a week. I just want to keep my body moving. And everything else I do, whether it's weight training, stretching, yoga, getting in the pool in the summertime, is aimed at trying to make sure that I can run for as long as possible.
Awesome, man.
That Mesa Marathon, I've done that one, man. That's going. It was funny because I train in Detroit, and I'm thinking it's going to be hot, man. That starting line was colder than the Free Press Marathon, man.
Yes. Oh yes. I mean, you're up in the mountains. You're away from the heat island too, so it's cold up there. I mean, they got the fire pits and whatnot, but once you leave the mountains, sun comes up, and once the sun comes up around here, you're cooking, and you enter that heat island. The heat's rising off of the pavement. It's rough. It's rough. You know,
So you go from cold to hot.
I mean, I don't even know if I can say hot, but to go from cold to sunny is a challenge here.
Okay.
Once that
60
sun comes up, it's a different kind of animal. Yeah.
Okay.
And 60 degrees feels like 75, 80.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. The sun is the killer here. And
In
it's almost
February.
always coming. Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. So from what I understand too, there's a part of Arizona, I think, where people drive through and they have to pull over and open the hood of their cars or something before they either go up or go down. I get it backwards.
I'm trying to think of what
You know
that
what I'm talking-
is.
Is that Mason?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
now I got to do
something
some
I've heard
research on my
about.
state now.
Yeah, that's something I've heard from a few people driving through Arizona, which I found kind of fascinating. I have never been to the state of Arizona. Sorry,
I mean,
maybe
you
I
got an
can
open
go do that.
invitation, so
Okay.
Come on out.
Arizona. I was in a conversation. I remember I was going through Sedona and we were on our way to the Grand Canyon. And when the Grand Canyon opened up, it was like Silence of the Lamb. It's like there is a God. It was like the most beautiful thing on this planet, man. When I seen the Grand Canyon, when you see it on TV, it's one thing, but
it
when you
just
see it in real life, it's like looking at a sunset, and then you take a picture of it with your camera. You're like, man, this ain't getting it.
yeah, it doesn't do it justice. I mean, that's what one thing I like. One of the things I love about Arizona is, I mean, yes, the weather is great, but the diversity of the weather. Like
Mhm.
summertime here is hot, obviously. It's dumb hot, the dumbest of all hot. Like it's ridiculous. But in July, I could drive 2 hours north to Flagstaff, and while it'll be 95, but 95 without humidity is perfect, and it cools down at night. Right now, like, we don't really see snow or anything like that. But again, drive 2 hours north to Flagstaff. Flagstaff, I think they're up to like 11 feet of snow so far this season.
Wow.
So, I mean, we have different types of terrain. We
Mhm.
have different types of vegetation and forests and stuff like that. I mean, the elevation, Flagstaff's at, I mean, I think Phoenix itself is at like about 1,000 feet above sea level. Flagstaff is at right at 7,000. And depending where you go, like Mount Humphreys up there, I think tops at like 12.5. So there's plenty of places you can go within the state to get different types of running. And that's one of the things I love about it. And it's not far. I mean, again, Flagstaff is 2 hours away. If you want to head down to, I got a buddy who has a cabin. I don't know, it's called the Magoyan Rim, which is just about at 8,000 feet. But it's all coniferous forests and trees and pine trees. I mean, it's stunning up there. The trail running up there is so different than anything I would do around here. Right here, I'm running on rock, bedrock, and I'm in a valley. It's desert, cactus, maybe a couple wildflowers, stuff like that. Up there, you might see an elk. You might have mountain lion. Like you got to keep your eyes open a bit more.
Man, it's no
Yikes.
joke.
All I can say is yikes. Lucide, what I just tell you a little while ago. Wow. So it sounds like similar to Denver, you have a variety and some really interesting terrain to cover and scenery as far as your running. Is that how you kind of developed this love for trail running? I know you're big on trail running.
I mean, honestly, so I don't think I started trail running until the pandemic. And I mean, I lucked out with the timing there. I ran Mesa Marathon a month before the pandemic started. So I was able to get that race in, whereas a lot of people had their races canceled. I mean, I can't even imagine what it'd be like to train for 16 weeks and be like, just kidding. But at that point, I wasn't worried about time or pace or anything like that. I'm just running, and I knew I couldn't register for anything. We didn't know what was going on in the world. So it's just like, what am I going to do? And that is sort of the magic of trail running. I mean, yes, there are competitive trail runners out there. There's people who's racing and stuff like that. But like you're just out there. Like I know I can't run as fast on the trails as I do on pavement, so I'm not even trying. I'm stopping, I'm taking pictures, I'm looking at flowers. Like, I mean, there are obviously sections that are a little bit more technical where I have to just hike up. Like, I can't run that. Even sometimes going down, I'm like, all right, we're gonna take it a little bit easy because I don't want to, tear my ACL or anything like that. But the reason that it has, I don't say the reason it's appealed to me, but the reason that I'm able to do it so much and really enjoy it is really just the accessibility around here.
Mhm.
I can run into downtown Phoenix, like where Super Bowl Central was and stuff like that. Like, I can run there. That's about 6 miles. If I run 2 miles north or 2 miles east, I'm in the preserves. I'm in the mountain. I got all this elevation gain, and it's just so accessible. Like, I don't have to go far to do any of this. If I want to explore a little bit more, there's plenty available. But if I just want to, I'm like, I just need to do a 10K, get a little bit of elevation in. Like, I'm out of pocket for maybe 2 hours, and I'm back home, and it doesn't cause any issues with my kids, my wife, family, or anything like that. So it's really that accessibility that has made me, like, lock into, like, I should really make this a part of my life. I love being out there. I love being in nature. It is freeing, and then it's around the corner.
That's awesome. That is pretty awesome, especially with it being so close by. You don't really have to drive anywhere then to do your run.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I don't. I mean, I haven't done it in a while, but there have been times where I've ridden my bike to, PSWA Peak and then done a trail run around there. What I'm looking for is like the ideal, I don't know, it always feels silly to get in your car to drive somewhere to run. So I'm looking for a good crossover trail running sneaker that I'll feel comfortable running 2 miles on the pavement to get to the mountain, and then being in the mountain to feel, supported and stuff like that.
Wow. So that's what you mentioned, trail running shoes. A lot different than shoes you're running in on pavement.
So I learned that the hard way here, even before I started running, doing a lot of hiking. And there's a Superstition Mountains, which is out about an hour east of Phoenix. Beautiful range. There's a hike called Flatiron. Like, the prominence looks like an old school flat iron. It's about 6 miles round trip. So I did that, well, I think 8 years ago. And did it in regular, like, running sneakers. Just not, I'm not thinking it. And my feet were killing me at the end. Killing me because I just didn't have the support I needed to be trekking on, again, bedrock for 6 hours. So, I mean, trying to be smarter once I got into trail running here, making sure I had the proper footwear. And again, whether it's the hardness of the rocks as opposed to pavement or even concrete for that matter, and just the pointiness. We have a lot of loose pebbles, we have a lot of pointy rocks. Like, I just needed my feet to be more protected. Again, I want to be doing this for a long time. So I have my sneaker shelf in my garage. I think I have 3 pairs of pavement shoes, and then I think I have 3 pairs of trail shoes at this point. Yeah,
You
you got to be able to rotate them too.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
You got to rotate those jokers.
Yeah. And I got my race pair. I'm like, all right, this is a little bit lighter, stuff like that. I got my daily trainers. Like, I've gone that deep into trail running at this point.
Wow.
Awesome. I remember meeting you last year when we were at the airport, and I was like, there he is. That's Jay right there. That was an awesome meetup we had. Man,
that was dope.
Epic time, man. We got a real good camaraderie between me, you, and all the Denver guys, and a few of the guys. Philadelphia, I think, came in the house, and a few other states was there. And then I ended up getting that's how I ended up getting the term Uncle Lou. My nephew came. I see my nephew been hanging out with the Denver guys too now and everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's how you got the name. Okay.
Hiking. They've been doing that real good hiking, man. Yeah.
So I seen them in yeah, they got some beautiful terrain up there. I mean, I gotta I'm bummed that when we were up there, we didn't have the time to actually make it to the trails. But I know there was, before we headed up to Estes Park, that was the plan, is to hit some trails. But I'll make it up there again. I mean, that's what's the beauty of living out here, is that all these places are relatively easily accessible. There's a couple of us from Phoenix. We're going up to Salt Lake City next month in a couple weeks.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, to do doing something with Saucony up there. I know part of it is that they want to do some road running, and then they want us to do some trail running. So I'm excited to like have this whole new experience in a whole new place. I mean, the road running will be fun enough, but I'm excited to get on the trails out there too.
Have you ever been to Utah?
So my first trail race was actually in Utah. About a year and a half ago, I did the Dead Horse 30K in Moab, in southeastern Utah. Some of the most gorgeous terrain I've ever seen. Like, again, I went into this race, never done anything, never raced before, have no intentions of winning. I'm just like, I'm sightseeing. I'm just gonna, stop every once in a while, take pictures, hang out with people at the aid stations. Like, I really wanted to like take in the experience again, like different from a road race where I'm just like, don't stop ever, just keep running. You got to beat that person, you got to catch that person. I was like, no, I'm in a national park right now. Hang out. Like, this is really cool. What else am I gonna? Oh, there's like microorganisms and the rocks and stuff. Like, I want to see everything.
Right.
Somebody points out a hawk, and I was like, I gotta stop. We gotta get a picture of it. So yeah, Southern Utah. Between that and I did the Vacation Races Zion Half Marathon last March. I mean, that was on the road, but just like the beauty of Southern Utah, and that's only 6.5, 7 hours from us here. So it's pretty easily accessible.
Are you carrying fuel with you when you go on the trails? Are you carrying a vest or anything?
So it all depends. When I typically go out around here, right now it's a little bit different because it's cooler. I'm not really worried about, being dehydrated. Again, it was only 10-minute drive from my house, so I have likely fueled before I've even gone. So no.
Okay.
I am doing a 13K trail race on April 2nd, and they got aid stations, stuff like that. So I think like I'm pretty comfortable at that point, even though the heat will start to turn up a little bit. Like, no, I won't need a vest. Once the heat really kicks up, if I try to do any trails over the summertime, absolutely. I'll absolutely. I mean, I bought a new camel pack this winter just in preparation for that. One of the things that's been hitting me hard out here is I lose so much in fluids and electrolytes, and I've started to like cramp up pretty seriously. So bringing the salt tablets with me, bringing extra electrolytes with me, loading up on that, the night before, the morning of, and stuff like that, just to try to keep my body right. Like, I learned the hard way. Like, I used to be able to muscle through it, and now I
Right.
realize I don't gotta live like this. There's no pride in being like, yeah, I'm fine, everything hurts. Like, no. I don't gotta live like this. Bring the water, bring the electrolytes, fuel ahead of time. Like, everything's gonna feel so much better if you approach your runs more thoughtfully and wisely. So
Right, no doubt. How did you start with Black Men Run? What was happening?
So as the story goes, 2017, the Rock and Roll Arizona Half Marathon. A couple of friends had convinced me to run it. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Like, I had a number in my head that I wanted to beat, but I just ran it for fun. When I got home, they were showing highlights of the race on TV. And one of the highlights they showed was there was an older white gentleman who had fallen down near the end of the race. And I saw a brother in a BMR t-shirt pick him up and walk him across the finish line. I'm pretty sure it was Demo out of Iowa.
Oh,
It took me
okay.
the longest time to figure out who it was, but like now I'm like, no, he was wearing a kilt. That was Demo. Yeah,
That was
I got him.
Demo. Yep, he's the
Yeah,
only
that's
one.
key.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
Definitely.
He's out here for so many different races, but he never like gives us a heads up or anything. We just like, we're all lining up for the Scottsdale Half Marathon. There he is. Like,
Yep.
he's here all the time. Always good to see him. But yeah, like I saw the shirt and I was like, well, what's that? So I Googled it, found out that there was a chapter here. I think it had just started the weekend before. So started attending. My cousin, Jared, another big trail runner, he started attending with me, and then it just became a part of life. And probably more importantly for me, I know, is that it became part of my family's life. You know, being out and moving here from the Northeast, moving to Phoenix, you have to do a little bit of extra work to find Black people. You just do. And that became my Black people. And it became like the Black people that my kids could be around, my family could be around, you know, which is, I mean, again, as diverse as their school is and stuff like that, like, you know, there were no Black people. So it was really good for them to just spend some time with other Black men. And then shoot, for me, it was amazing. Like my dad passed away at 55. You know, my views of what it meant to like get older as a Black male were just like, all right, well, you get old, you get out of shape, pass away early, that sucks. And joining BMR showed me that there was this whole other lifestyle. I was like, wait a second, all these brothers is active.
Yeah.
They got their stuff together. They're working hard to be healthy in all the ways, not just physically, but also mentally and spiritually. You know, taking care of their families. Kids have gone up and done this. I mean, they're racing their kids out here. And I was just like, well, that's what I want to do now. That's what I want my life to be like. And, you know, I say all the time, you know, particularly people, I say, hey, if you're going to, you know, run a marathon against stuff like that, it's like my goal, I see our two best runners are 63 years old. And one is just fast as hell. He's always been fast. The other one just qualified he's running Boston this year after qualifying at Mesa last year. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not fast enough to qualify for Boston today, but my goal is to keep my body, my mind, and my spirit right, so that when I hit 60, I'm gonna qualify then.
That's a good thing.
These brothers showed me the light, you know, just by being there, just by demonstrating what healthy living can look like, you know, past 40.
Indeed. Main thing, we're getting brothers moving, man. We want you to move, you know, body in motion stays in motion. You don't have to, we're all gonna get older. You know, some things you may not be able to avoid, some things you may be able to put off, prolong, just by what you are doing, you know. So do what's in our control. And not only that, is more than just physically healthy, you know, it affects your mental health, spiritual health. You got a brotherhood now. Your kids got a bunch of uncles, you know. You're good to go. Peter met all of his uncles this past weekend, so he's thrilled. He's thrilled, man. So we do have a Black Men Run trail running group. It's trail running, obstacle course running, and I think ultra marathon running teams. So are either one of y'all in those groups?
I'm an ambassador for it,
Okay.
but I haven't been a part of a race team or anything like that yet. I don't know if I'm on that level. I'm working, but I don't know if I'm on that level yet.
Yeah. What about you, Lucia?
Yeah, I'm ambassador for the trail runners for Detroit. But as far as racing, most of my racing is just me against me. You know, it's just Lucia going out there, signing up for something that people think is crazy. I like signing up for things that I am excited and scared to do at the same time. So this year, you know what my goal is this year.
Right.
And it's going to take a lot of training and prayer to complete what I plan on doing this year.
All right. You can go ahead and spill it.
I know, yeah, man, I got it.
I'm going out for the 100-miler this year.
Word, okay.
Yee.
All right.
100-miler trail, better known as the Woodstock Hallucination 100. Because you're going to be hallucinating somewhere up in there.
I mean, yeah.
I'm hallucinating now, just thinking about it.
Just thinking about it, yeah.
You know, you learn what a ultra marathon is, and then you hear Lucia talking about he's going to do 100 miles, and I'm like, what?
I'm not there yet. would like to do an ultra at some point. Like that's definitely in the card, just to say that I've done it. The 100 milers, no, but one of the things we've been working on locally, I mean, we got a couple guys that are big into there. You know, I mean, because we have obviously a lot of trails. We have some great local trail running organizations. And I know one of the brothers actually, I'm pretty sure he's on the Aravipa racing team, but they regularly do the Javelina 100. They get up and do the Cocodona 250. Like, I mean, Crown King Scramble 50K. Like, I mean, this brother's out there doing it. One of the things we've tried to do, and again, I really appreciate our local race organization, running organizations for this, is that trying to highlight underrepresented communities that are into trail running. So particularly with Aravipa, we did a Instagram live series, I guess last winter, really to, you know, one, highlight Black Men Run. They were like, yeah, we'd love to do that. We think that's a great idea, but also like to have us talk about what trails we run. Are we in trail running? Because it is so, I mean, generally it's so much more difficult to think about getting into something when you're like, none of y'all look like me. Like, I'm not comfortable out there. You know, I'm gonna get out in the woods. I mean, I'm gonna get out into like rural Arizona and trust y'all to have my back. Like, yeah. So they've worked really hard to try to, you know, help us increase our comfort level. And that's been great. So I mean, me personally, just being out there, making sure I post all the pictures, register for the races, making sure that folks know about the races. I'm hoping that helps. We are working on incorporating trail runs into our weekly runs. Make sure just give people the opportunity to do it. The timing is always kind of challenging because, you know, fall is race season, so no one's going out there trying to roll an ankle before a race. We got the big race, you know, Boston's coming up, so it's like, all right, let's be easy on that because again, no one's trying to roll an ankle, and then the summertime is just hot as hell. But you know, the brothers want to get out there, they want to try it out, so just trying to create those opportunities. And then one thing this is my goal for this, I think it's usually Halloween weekend. The Javelina 100, they have a 100-mile and a 100K. It's Halloween weekend, and they always ask us, kind of, yeah, you know, could we have a BMR tent up? You know, we'd love to represent stuff like that. I was like, bet. But it's kind of a bit much for like me to be out there for 24 hours. We usually have the tent set up, and one of the guys who runs it, like, that's what he uses as his aid station, because it's I think it's like 5 loops around this around the park. But we have a couple guys that are doing it this year, or at least planning to do it. And I saw someone on Facebook who I think they were from Colorado, but they've already registered for it. So my goal is to get enough of us to man that tent. So not only are we out there running, but we're also representing. We're out there. I mean, they do like a midnight party, something like that. Apparently it's pretty wild. I'm excited for it. But I want us to show in force.
Right.
And that's the goal for this year, you know.
That sounds like fun, man. So 100 miles. Everybody take a second and just wrap their head around that. I just got introduced to ultra marathoners last year. I was like, what? 51 miles, it's like 2 marathons. And now you're talking about ultra marathon. That is absolutely amazing. I know the percentage of marathoners is extremely small, so I'm guessing the percentage of ultra marathoners is even smaller.
You got to figure, right?
Yeah, got to be smaller. That's no small feat, pun intended.
Oh no. I don't know if you guys have read the new book that David Goggins had come out recently over the last year. It's an awesome book called Not Finished. And he goes about talking about how he was ran his, I think it was somewhere between 140 to 200 and some miles, but it was some unridiculous number that you would say, why would you do that? You know, some people
Yeah,
do
like what's wrong with you?
Yeah, so one of the guys asked me, said, because I want to do the 50 miler this year. And then the guy just says, hey, Lou, why do the 50 miler when you can do 100 miler and you'll get the 50 miler in the training? I said, you know what? You crazy. I'm not doing no 100-miler, man. And then 2 weeks later, I remember it like it was yesterday. I woke up in the morning and he said, you know what? I'm gonna do that 100-miler. He didn't plant a seed in me. And 2 weeks before,
Inception.
I was like, no way. I was looking like JT over here. Like,
Yeah, I just find it, you know, I really can't even conceive of it. That you're
and that
running
was me.
100 miles. I can't, I cannot conceive of it. And in order for me to prepare and do something like that, I have to see it up here. I just can't see it, but people are doing it. So we know it's doable. It's, as David Goggins would say, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
I don't want it that.
Well, the
But you
thing about
never
it is
know. I
that
might be
the
like Lou one
training
day and wake
alone,
up.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how, just the idea of like, I mean, that's half the reason why I don't want to do another marathon is like, again, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it well.
Mhm.
And to put your body through something like that, you have to prepare it. That's why they have marathon training.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, what's your long run? You got like one long run of 18 miles, 20 miles, something like that. Otherwise, you're just like doing weekly mileage. Like, I can't even fathom what training looks like for an ultra. You know, the day of, I'm like, all right, bet, like just stay on your feet. You know, you got to stop. The whole eating thing is weird too. People eating whole burritos and stuff like that. Like, I barely eat before a race in general. Like, even the marathons, I'm like, protein shake and that's it, because I can't have a whole lot of stuff going on.
Right.
But like, you're running for, however many hours, you have to eat, and you have to eat well.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
gonna have to use the bathroom at some point. Like, I mean,
Oh,
you're gonna have to go
absolutely.
through all your daily motions during the race. So
Yes.
that's a whole nother level that I'm, have to get comfortable with. That's why I don't know about the 100-miler, but get me out there for a 50K. What was that, 31, 32 miles? Like, I
Yeah.
can handle that.
I've had 450Ks under my belts, and I've heard that the 50K that I do is it's a mountainish one. You climbing mountains. I've heard people say that it's easier than doing the 50-miler. That's not mountainous. So I figure, I might as well just keep going. It takes me about 9 to 12 hours to do 50K, and that's climbing mountains at some serious altitudes. But normally, I say it take about what 8 hours, 5. Let's see, if you do just a 5-hour marathon just for a 50K, you only got what 5 more miles for a 50K after 26.2 miles. So you can do that in another hour and a. It's just saying slap on another hour and a half right there. So that's only what 6, 7 hours somewhere in there. And then just multiply that times 3, which is 90. You're doing 30, 60, 90. Add another 10, slap another 10 on there to get 100.
You adding a whole lot.
Mhm, mhm. Wow. Seeing somebody do that, that's some definite motivation.
Well, the trick to the 100-miler, I've been studying it myself. Like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to be on a 14, 15-minute pace. You don't want to go out on your normal running pace at all.
No.
So you have to learn how to do that. And I have a lot of 100-milers around me, ultra runners. So they also, like you were saying about the fuel, Jay, you go in full, go in that race filled up just like a tank of gas, and you take that just like a cup of water. Don't let that water go down, or you're gonna be jacked up. Every time you get to a fuel station, refill back up, because your fuel is what's gonna keep you. You're gonna need all your calories, and especially all of your electrolytes when you go through that race. Your electrolytes are so vital because of the lactic acid that you're going to encounter in that particular time span. So you want to definitely keep it coming, keep drinking the electrolytes, and you're gonna make it. You just gotta focus. And that's why you always hear me say go as far as you can see, and when you get there you can go a little further. So you got to keep that in mind as you going. Don't worry about where you at and how far you got to be. It's like, for me, it's a constant just going to the next location, going. I don't think about running in miles. The way I think about when I go out to run, I'm gonna go out to run for an hour. I'm gonna go out to run for 2 or 3 hours. If you think of it in time instead of miles, mentally it's not that bad. When you think about, oh, I'm doing this many miles, then it's mentally it's different in your head. So like for the 100 miler, I get 30 hours to complete it. So I figure it's gonna take you at a good pace, say 17-minute pace. You can do it in about 27, 26 hours, with some time to spare. Like you said, you're gonna need time to go to the bathroom and stuff like that. Put that all into it. You got it comfortable, basically I call it a swift hike. You got a swift hike going on there.
For a whole basically 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This particular race starts at 4 p.m. on a Friday, on September the 8th, and it ends the next night for 30 hours. So you're going to be going through the night. This particular race is a 16-mile loop. So you're going to be doing like 6 loops of 16 miles, which is going to be kind of nice, with aid stations all around. But at nighttime, you're going to have your little light thing on. You got to make sure your battery's nice and charged up. When you come around, you might have to grab another headlamp.
One of the things I hear, it's it probably happens at this race, but the Javelina 100, the timing of it is end of October. Nights are getting cool. Like during the day, it's still hot, but nights are getting cool. The amount of layers you have to be prepared to wear. So again, like this is out in the McDowell Mountain Preserve, so a little bit away from the heat island. It cools down significantly at night, but it's hot as hell during the day. Like I know some of the guys who have run it, they were at risk of hypothermia at different points just because of like how cool it can get at night.
Wow.
So you have to, that's I guess that's the benefit of it being a 16, 19 mile, like a loop situation, because you can have your aid station, you can change into new gear and stuff like that, like based on where you're at that point. But like that, I imagine, that's why you have to approach it so thoughtfully. Like this is not something you do willy-nilly, because you're going to be in a world of hurt at some point,
Right. You want to have a team. The optimal thing to do is have a team with you that keeps everything straight for you as you come around. And I did an interview with a young lady who did her first 100. She was on mile 82, and she was trying to quit. She was like, oh, I can't go no further. And she called her partner that was with her, called ahead to everybody that was on the team, said, hey, she's talking about quitting. Cover up all the exit points. Don't let her quit. And so she ended up completing it. Was happy about it. But your head goes through so many highs and so many lows in such a 24-hour period, where I remember doing my first 50K, I got to mile 17, and I had these cramps in my legs that were just unbearable. And I got to mile 20, I think it was 22 or 23, and I said, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish this. And they told me to put some electrolytes in I had the straw with the backpack on. They said put some heat in there. So they gave me this stuff called heat, which is a Hammer Nutrition. And I got to mile 28, Jay. And I remember I was running through the woods, and I said, man, I could do 10 more miles right now. And I realized just then, I said, it's all in the fueling. This game is in the fueling. This ultra game is strictly, once you only can get your cardio to a certain point. And then after that, you have to just fuel right. And then you can keep going. Get rid of that get that electrolyte in you, get rid of that lactic acid. You out there having fun. You out there in the woods having fun. Jay got that look on his face.
I know, yeah. I'll tell you what. So my one, we want to have, man the tent at Hopland 100, stuff like that. But
Mhm.
the more helpful thing is to offer to be a pacer.
Yes,
These are, folks are doing loops, and
that's a team.
you're in your third loop, you're struggling right there. To have someone go at that, 17-minute pace with you in the dark at night when you're exhausted, like that will help you get over the hump. So
Yes, yes. Teamwork makes the dream work.
absolutely, absolutely.
The journey is the destination.
Hey, you gotta say that, man. Definitely. Wow, that's a lot to take in, man. Gosh, that is. So let me ask you something, Jay. Anybody in your crew come to you and they're like, I know you're big on the trail running. I'm not a runner like that. I don't know if that's for me. What would you say to them to get them to at least try it, consider it?
Ain't nothing to it but to do it.
There it is.
I mean, again, just try it. Like, I would stress, get some proper sneakers. But we do have
Mhm.
some very accessible trails that honestly you could make it in regular sneakers. Like you can do it. I just want to, don't get crazy. We got some nice 5K loops to do. So just do it. And what's nice is that, while we haven't done as many, incorporated as many trail runs into our weekly runs, stuff like that, there are so many other running groups in the valley that do, whether it's local sneaker stores or just, various other running groups. So, that's what I'm working on right now, is trying to partner with them, because there's strength in numbers.
Right.
It's one thing for me to just take another brother out and be like, oh, we're going to do this run. And he's like, well, it looks like you run a lot faster than me. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm nervous. And I was like, no, we got like a posse of 10 people. Like I did one of the local sneaker stores, Runners Den, they do every 2 weeks a Thursday night trail run. And I just happened to be free on Thursday night. My son didn't have any practices. So I was like, all right, well, let me get up there. I've been wanting to try it out. And it's great because they broke it up into 3 paces. They're like, all right, this group they're running fast. They're doing like an 8.5-minute mile. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to hurt myself trying to do that. Like, oh, y'all, you're like a 10-minute mile. I was like, all right, that sounds more my speed. And then it was another 13-minute mile. And it was nice because it sort of catered to all running abilities. And then even within my group, we stopped plenty. Like somebody was lagging behind, stop, take pictures, talk, whatever. Y'all ready to go? All right, let's get it moving. And like, just once you get out there, you realize that it doesn't necessarily have to be the same grind that road running feels like. When you're on the road, your mentality is so like, I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop.
Right.
Just keep it moving. Keep moving. I'm worried about that pace. You're on the trail. It's like, all right. You're looking for reasons to stop. And there's beauty in just, let me pause for a second. Take a look at this. Let me get a good picture. Like, and I look at the sunset, like, and it's just a different feeling. So I think once you get people out there and they get to experience it and realize that trails aren't that scary, to JT's point, like, the coyotes, they ain't bothering anybody out here. They mind their business. Like, I don't do evening when it gets warm out. I won't do evening or late afternoon trails because that's when the rattlesnakes are out because it's warmer and stuff like that. Like, I'm not looking for trouble. But generally, if you go out most places, you stay on the trail, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
Hey, Jay, man, we appreciate you coming on the show today, man.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for telling us, man, your experiences over there in the trails with the rattlesnakes and the coyotes, man. We appreciate you. For our listening audience, we want you all to go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you can go a little further. You have just experienced the Brotherhood.
And
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Thank you for coming on, Jay. We appreciate it, man. All right.